Hi everyone, welcome. Let me fix my camera. How are you all doing? Let me know that you can hear me and see me okay. I'm just going to check from my end to make sure it's working. Okay, great. On my computer, you can hear and see me. Yay. Okay. For some reason on mine, I can't hear and see myself. So I logged in this morning and my YouTube studio looked completely different. So I apologize for being a few minutes late. The way that I normally log in for my live streams on Wirecast, the whole interface changed and I don't know what happened. So I got here and I'm good. Yay! Thank you everybody for joining me. We've got a lot of you who are here joining me live, so I really appreciate you all for being here and for hanging tight just a few extra minutes. So I am super excited that you're all here. So today we are gonna dive into a few of my favorite Procreate tips. Let me know in the chat how many of you, this is your first time on one of my live streams. Just put a 1 in the number 1 in the chat, and that'll let me know how many of you are brand new. But if you are new, welcome. And for all of my returning guests, thank you for joining me. My name is Tracy Bautista, and I am a mixed media artist, designer, author, and teacher. And I teach people how to create mixed media art journaling, and also digital art from their art journal, and how to make handmade watercolors. So I have a very vast knowledge of a lot of different things in the art world, and I also teach creative business. So today we're going to dive into some fun Procreate tips. I have some new digital brushes that I'm going to be sharing, and also I'm going to share some samples of some of the artwork that I've created in Procreate, and share with you what you can do just in under 10 minutes. You can transform your doodles and your mark making into collage papers that you can actually then print and use them in your mixed media work. You could also print them and use them for wrapping paper, for handmade greeting cards, for all kinds of fun projects. So a digital DIY planner. So you can also create them digitally or you can create them where you don't print them and you just use them digitally. So there are so many options. And okay, great. We have a lot of new people, so welcome. Great to see you all. How many of you are new to Procreate and have not used the Procreate app on the iPad? That'll kind of give me also a background to see where everybody's at. So let me just show you a little housekeeping really quick. Hold on, let me add, while you're all answering that, I'm going to add a little window to my screen, and then I can show you, since we do have a few new people. Okay, newish. We have some new. Wow, there's a big handful of you. Great. Well, Procreate is amazing. I've been using it since 2013 when I got my first iPad mini. So you can actually use it on older iPads, but the newer version, the 4.2 version, works on, I don't know how far it goes back. I'm not sure which one it goes back to, but if you have Procreate on an older iPad, it still works except for the brush. There's a lot of upgrades in the 4.2 edition, but it's optimized really for the iPad Pro and the Apple Pencil. So, and also thank you, Suanne says iPhone also. Yes, so you can use Procreate Pocket, which is their the handheld version, and it actually is amazing too, because I think it has pretty much almost all the same features, except for you just use it on your phone. So if you don't have an iPad, you can use it on the iPhone, and it is only an iOS app. So if you don't have Apple products, then you won't be able to use Procreate. But you'll still be able to pick up some fun tips today that you could translate using your own paintbrushes and mark making tools. So keep that in mind. Okay, let me show them. I'm going to show my screen. Since we do have so many new people, we're going to do a little housekeeping and just show you kind of around Crowdcast if you've never been on one of my live streams before. Let me switch to my desktop, and you should be seeing the Procreate tips. And so on here, everybody found the chat, which is great. So I'm showing you the version on the desktop. So this is definitely going to look different if you're viewing this in the iPad app or on a tablet or mobile device using the app or the browser in the app, but you can kind of get the gist of things. So underneath my video also, I had a couple of polls. So if you want to take a couple of seconds to answer these, you're seeing my version of the polls. So this doesn't have like all of the, oh, I guess this one has, I don't know why the other one, let's see. Oh, okay, there we go. Now I can see it. So you should see this. I can't tell who's voting for what. So if you want to just answer these two questions, I'd love to know what subjects you're interested in learning about during my new live stream show. And it looks like we've got a huge amount of votes for Procreate. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. And then also, I'd love to know a little bit about you and whether you are a newbie, if you're a hobbyist, or if you're a full-time artist. So if you could just answer those two questions, this helps me kind of guides me into how and what content I can share. And then if you have a question, feel free to put it here in the Ask a Question section. And you'll notice I actually asked a couple of questions. So if you want to share your answers with me, that would be great. I asked if you could meet me for tea and chat for an hour, what would you like to talk about in regards to art or developing your creative business? So if you want to spend a couple of minutes answering those questions, I would love that. And then for those of you who are actually asking questions, I'll answer those at the end of my live, or towards the end of the live stream. So definitely you can drop questions in there. It's better to put the questions inside the Q&A section rather than in the chat, because sometimes the chat goes really quickly. So and then the other one was, what's one goal you have for your artwork in the next 90 days? What are you focused on in your studio? So if you want to spend a couple of minutes answering that while I chat with you all, I'd appreciate that. So let me come back here. So I'm really excited. I'm going to be starting a live stream show. So back in 2003, I actually started blogging, and I blogged till about 2015. And then I've pretty much taken a break from developing a lot of new content over the last few years. I do a lot more live streams, so I decided to, instead of blogging like I used to, I'm going to do a monthly live stream show. I'm not sure how often yet, but I'm just planning it out. So that's why I asked one of the questions in the polls, because I'm really wanting to create content that you all are going to be interested in, and also kind of give you a behind the scenes look at my studio. And then from time to time, I'll also have some guest people and some other guest artists that I will bring on the show. and chat with them just about creativity and things that they're doing in their studios. So if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear that. It's going to be hosted here in Crowdcast, like what I do here with my live broadcasts. And if you are interested, I will be sharing more information over the next month or so. So I'm really excited about it. Okay, let's see. I am going to turn my camera so that you can see my studio table. And I'm going to share a couple of things, and then we're going to dive into Procreate. And for those of you who are new to Procreate, I'll do a really quick intro on just some of the basics, but it really is an in-depth program that it does take a little bit of time to use and to understand. But I did teach my niece in 5 minutes how to just get the basics of drawing in there. And she's only 7, or she's only 8, and she was good to go and was off to the races drawing and painting. And so if I could teach a 7-8-year-old to use it, I'm sure if you're brand new to Procreate, it shouldn't be too hard. But as you get into using some of the more advanced features, it definitely does take a little bit of training and just playing. And that's the biggest thing that I can encourage you to do, especially with any kind of app or software. You can't really break it. You just have to, if you make a mark you don't like, you can undo it really quickly. And that's kind of the beauty of working with something that's digital art. You can always make changes really easily, versus if you put a paintbrush down on paper and you're like, oh, I don't really like that, you either have to cover it completely, or what I like to do is sometimes I'll let it dry and just cut it up and use it as a collage paper. So, okay, we are going to have some fun today. Who is ready to paint? Is anybody drawing on Procreate with me today? I'd love to know. Okay, I will be back in 1 second. Let me just switch the camera. Okay, you hear that little tapping? That's my little puppy underneath my toes. Let's get this in focus. Okay. I think that we're good now. So I thought I'd share just some of the things that I've created using Procreate. And for those of you who have been around for a little bit, you've probably seen my digital canvas class, my online program. And I shared some of these in that course, but some of these are just things that I did really quickly with under, like this one was like probably 4 or 5 minutes to create some of these pages. And it's also using some of my custom Procreate brushes. So I just thought I'd flip through some of these, and you can see how just in a matter of minutes you could create something that is super fun and vibrant. This is actually taking one of my mixed media paintings and kind of dissecting it, and taking some of the florals and then turning them into Procreate brushes and then painting with those. So that's one of the techniques that I share in my online program. And then just a lot of fun surface pattern design. I've actually been working on a lot of different designs for textiles, and I have a little sneak peek of some new fabrics that I designed. So I'm going to share just a couple of those coming up. But I just thought I'd share just some of the things that you can do. So a lot of times when I'm designing patterns, I'll create different colorways and different different ideas before the final prints, and then I print them out and put these up on my inspiration board just to kind of, you know, look at the whole collection as a whole, and then make edits from there. And it's really simple to then also take these and just create little collage sheets too. So this is just a little 8x8 collage sheets for those of you who might do the do like pocket scrapbooking, or even using collage papers in your art journals. This is a perfect way to do that, and to kind of extend the work that you do. So I thought I would just share what they look like when they're printed. I have an HP color laser jet, but you can also use an inkjet printer. I've had inkjet printers for a long time and have used those too, but I just love the vibrancy of the color. And this looks exactly like the actual piece in Procreate. I'll open it up and share with you so you can kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so we have Cheryl and Amy and a few of you, yes, are painting with me today. Awesome. So let's see, I'm just going to show you, I want to show you what that, it would be so much easier. I reorganized all these earlier to get them in the right folders. Oh, here they are. So you can see, I just want to show you. This is what it looks like in Procreate, and then this is how it printed out. So it is spot on as far as colors go. And then I tested it also in printing on various fabrics. And so this is actually it on this is a linen cotton canvas. So lots that you can do with your Procreate app. And a lot of these pieces that I designed for this particular piece are a mixture of some of my original mixed media paintings, and then actual things that and art that I created in Procreate itself. Okay, so now we are gonna have some fun painting in Procreate. Does anybody have any questions so far? Marlene says she's tried Procreate, but only just getting started with it. Awesome. You'll find that it is so much fun. It's great because if you are ever stuck anywhere where you just have a few minutes and you don't have time to take out all of your supplies, your mixed media supplies, then you can pull out your phone or your iPad and play and start painting. I've also printed, this is a professional printer where I've sent the files to them to print for me. And so you can see they come out really, really nice. I use an architectural printer that's here close to my studio to do a lot of the work for my kits that I create, for my printed kits. And you can see it comes out, I mean, they're just beautiful, like just the color wise. Let me see if I can find that one. I don't know if I'll be able to find that one on here. Well, we'll go back. Okay, well, I am going to show you just really quickly some fun things about Procreate. And if you saw my post earlier on Instagram, I shared just a quick, let me just get this camera straight. I feel like it's, there we go. It's like a funny angle. Hold on. I think we might be good there. Okay, let me just get the focus going on. Okay, I think we're good now. So I posted this just about 15 minutes ago or so. And I'm just going to play this really quickly. So one of the great features about Procreate is once you create a canvas on here, you can then play a video, a time-lapse replay of the actual painting being created. And so this is helpful because one, you could share it. So if you see videos like this on Instagram or Facebook, that's because they're sharing the replay version. But it's also helpful for, say you designed this a long time ago and then you want to go back and say, oh, what did I do? You can actually rewind this and you can kind of go hold it in slow motion and you can actually see kind of how the layers were built up if you need to kind of go back and check it out again. So this is using one of my new custom Procreate brush sets to create these backgrounds. And so a lot of times what I'll do is create the different graphics, but also samples of what you can do with the brushes in Procreate, and then use those also as printables that I can use in my own work. So I'll show you just a couple more, and then we're going to paint and play a little bit. I have also created pieces from some of my originals. So if you were in my Inky Florals class, you might recognize this piece. This was a piece that I painted with some of my hand painted inks and my watercolors, and that was done in one of my online workshops. And then I took this particular piece and then I've changed it and used bits and pieces of it to create a digital graphic. So you can kind of see how that mimics the original. So if I close this up and if you look at those two, you can see how similar they are, but because of how I have painted with them and transformed them in Procreate, it creates a whole new graphic. And then you can use that for all kinds of things. If you're designing fabric, if you're designing patterns, and then you can dissect that even more and use pieces of it and create brushes inside Procreate. So there's so many possibilities. This one particular piece I am going to show you. I love the fabric that came out of that. It's so pretty. And so we are going to dive in. Let me grab a new canvas. I've designed stencils in here. I've designed my stamps. Some of you who are familiar with my stamp line, you probably have seen those. This whole set, let's see, well, a portion of this set was done in Procreate. Some of this was done with my original drawings, but some of that set was actually drawn in Procreate. So you can really do a lot with this program to develop, especially if you're a creative entrepreneur, to develop things that actual products that you can sell, either digitally or digital products or physical products. Okay, let me grab a new canvas and we're going to start. So basically here, when you open up Procreate, this is all of the canvases and different art pieces that I've created. And I have a little folder for my niece. That's her fashion designs there. And then you're going to start, you just need to hit the plus sign and you're going to create a new canvas. So because I want this to just print easily, 8.5 by 11, so I'm going to do a letter size. And I already have a custom portrait size that I created. So, and it's at 300 DPI. So I'm going to click on that. If you don't have one that's like that, you can actually just create a custom size at the bottom, and you could put in what you want your canvas to be and then hit create, and that would give you a brand new canvas in whatever size you want. So I'm just going to create my custom canvas here. And normally when I work, I usually will work portrait, but because this fits in the camera better, I have it set to landscape right now. Let me just get this there. That's better. It just keeps feeling like it's like skewed. I think that's a little bit better. Okay. Let me see. Christine, I just saw your question. I'm going to move that to the questions area. And I'll talk about my workshop in a little bit after I finish my demo, but it is going to be opening up for a self-guided session with some fun bonuses today, and the actual class will open up the classroom will open up in a couple of weeks. So now that I have this canvas open, the main things you want to be concerned about is, if you're brand new to Procreate, is this brush, your brushes. This is where you're going to draw and paint with. And then you are also going to want to play with the layers. So if you're familiar with Photoshop, if you worked in Photoshop or Illustrator and you're familiar with layers, it's the same concept. But this is a raster-based program like Photoshop, so it's not vector-based. And I have here, you'll see that I have a bunch of custom brushes, but it'll look different when you open yours, because you'll only have the set of brushes that are native to Procreate. But as you start creating your own brushes, you can create your own folders or your own brush sets. And each one of these, you can see I've created a bunch of different brushes. But today, I'm just going to focus on my new Digital Canvas 3 bundle set. This is actually available in my shop now. And the fun thing about this set is that it comes with a variety of 9 brushes, but they're all different in the fact that each brush has about 5 different types of marks that you can make with it, from really skinny lines to larger lines and textures depending on the size of the brush you use. So I'm going to choose one of the circle patterns here, and you'll see just in a minute how this works. So on the left here, this shows the left-hand side gives you the brush size as you scroll up and down on this left panel there. So I'm just going to bring this down to like a small size so that you can kind of see, and then I'll show you what happens with this particular brush. And then I've got a kind of a maroon color. So this is your color picker here at the top right. And I'm going to show you just really quickly how this works. So when it's small, you'll see it's got all these little fun little dots. So you can do a little bit of dotted texture. Even if I go smaller, you'll see you get kind of more of a really thin line. So that's kind of the fun thing about this. And then as I make it a little larger, you can see now here the dot gets a little bit larger, and I can use it kind of as a stamp, or if I drag my brush, you'll see it's kind of like it has kind of a separate pattern that it makes with the little circles. And then if I bring this up a little larger, then I can really start playing with the size of it. And then if I bring it up just a little bit larger there, you can start to see what that looks like. So I'm actually going to take those big ones, and now I'm going to put them on another layer. So I'm going to click the layers panel, click the plus button, and then I'm going to put it on another layer, because that, in case I ever want to edit this page, then it's easier to make changes. So you can see just with that one brush how it's got a variety of types of marks it can make. And then if I want to, I'm going to add another layer, and then I'm going to bring this all the way to the largest size. And this is one of the fun things about the brushes I design, is that they're really made to be also background brushes. So I'm going to move this layer to the background behind the other two, and then change my color just so that you can kind of see the variation. And then now I'm going to click on this, and I want it to be really large. And you can see now if I click on it a couple of times, now I've got this really large background texture. And that's just from inside what that little circle looks like, you know, when I designed it. So I've taken all of these brushes I've designed, were created from my original mixed media painting. So every brush is unique, and you won't find anything else like it in the market because nobody has the same painting, the original painting. And there's so much that you can do with the actual brushes once you play with them. You can also use them as erasers, so I could choose that brush as an eraser and then erase out some of that background. So say I created another layer. Let's just create another layer. And then I'm going to choose another color here. We're going to put that green back there. Let me hide this layer. So to turn off and on a layer, you just click this little check box there. And then now I set that eraser to, I'm going to set it to the circle, the one I just used earlier. And now you can see it erases from that. So you can use it as an eraser and or as a brush. And then if I turn on these other layers, you'll see how that starts to look. So that's just one of the brushes that's in that particular set. And then what I like to do when I'm working, a lot of times I'll make multiple collage papers in one canvas. So I group them by sliding to the right, and you'll notice how all four now are blue. Then I can choose group, and then I have this as, I can rename it. Click on it once, click rename, and then I can just say circle collage and hit return. And so now I know that all of those are contained for one collage paper, and then I can, if I wanted to toggle it and turn it off, I could too. So that's nice if you're working with a ton of layers. This is super helpful to group them together. Okay, so I'm going to start a new layer. I'm going to turn these off just because I want to show you just some of the other brushes that are on here. But you saw just in the matter, I was explaining and talking to you at the same time, but that was definitely under 10 minutes just to create this one sheet. So let's see. I'm going to grab where's my phone? I was going to, oh, here it is. We'll put on the timer and we'll do a fun little test to see how long this takes us. Okay, so I have my stopwatch and I'm going to reset, and keep in mind I'm talking to you at the same time, so this we'll see how it goes. I'm going to hit start. Okay, so we're going to grab a couple of my other brushes. Let's start with this one, and let's just change the color a little bit. I'm on this layer, and this one also is a fun background. Oops, that was dark. So to undo, you just saw what I did. I forgot some of you are new. 2-finger tap, and it does an undo. If you want to redo, you use 3-finger tap. That's how I have mine set up. So 2-finger tap is undo, 3-finger tap is a redo. And then I just want to kind of play with this to add a couple of different colors on this. Make the color a little bit lighter, and then go like that. And then I'm going to grab another layer, and then this time use one of the circle patterns on here and change the color maybe to something a little darker, like this dark blue, and play with this brush size. So you can see this one is this little stamp if I do it like that, and it'll give you a little square. But if I want to just kind of use it as a paintbrush, I can then draw with it like that to give me a fun background too. So I just undid that really quick, and I'll play with that. It's kind of really dark. Let's just go a little lighter. I have a glare on my, that's better. I have a glare on my iPad, so Can't see the color that great. Okay, so now I've got that. I'm gonna add another layer for this canvas, and then let's change the brush and use this other circle brush that's on here. And this is the round and round brush, and this is another one of my favorites. Let's say, let's go grab, let's grab this color, and we'll add another layer, and then I'm gonna make it a little bit lighter. Bring that circle up, and then see how I like that, maybe even larger. Yeah, I like that. And then now you can see I covered that layer, so if I ever want to change that and move it, I can just bring it underneath whatever layer I want to, and you can see now that switched, and that gave us this whole, now I can see this this kind of olive layer that I created before. And then we'll use this, my roller print plate brush on here as the next layer. So that's 3 minutes so far, and I could send this to the, I could save it and send this to the printer, and I have a fun collage paper already. I'm gonna go to the top layer, add another layer, and then this time I'm gonna change the color to, what color is that? I want it to be a little more, oops. Maroonish. There we go. And then I could write. So we're going to bring this, actually before I write, let's see what this size looks like. So this, I love this brush because you can do some really fun stripes and backgrounds with it, and also you can write with it too. So I'm just going to use it in kind of a middle, in the middle brush size. And this is a pressure sensitive brush too. Still kind of thick. So the harder you press, the wider the line will be. And you'll notice that when you write with some of my brushes, they have a texture in them. So you can see, like right there, if I turn off these layers really quick, you can see a lot of my brushes, when you, some of them, when, as you, if you use them for lettering, they create different textures, and sometimes they'll skip, but that's kind of the beauty of them. I love that distressed letter look, so you can use some of my brushes for lettering also. Okay, so let's bring this down so you can see. I'm just going to snap. So if you swipe your fingers like that, you can get the whole thing back into your screen. So I'm going to turn that off because I want to keep that. I kind of like those layers together. So I think that for now, I'm going to keep that all together, take out that one and group it. And so that was 5 minutes, 5 minutes and 30 seconds that took to do that one little collage paper. And that's using my brushes, but you can also play with the native brushes that are on here and make really fun backgrounds super quick. One of my favorites, and I'll show you this one in a minute, is the Nico rule. It's in the painting section. It's this one here. And that one is one that comes with Procreate. And so I love to use it as kind of like a stencil roller. So you can also use my brushes as stencils. And let me show you that really quick. So let's go back to the digital canvas brushes. Digital canvas 3. And so I'm going to choose my Dahlia. It's a neon Dahlia stamp. And then I'm going to turn off this group right here just so I have a blank layer. And then I'm going to add a new layer and show you how you can use that brush. So I have the neon Dahlia stamp. Let's change the color. Let's do some kind of like fall florals. Maybe we'll use this kind of peachy color. And I'm going to just click on here because I want to see how big that is. So that's probably a pretty good size. I want it to be a little bit lighter. It's a little small. Okay, there we go. That's good. So we're going to use that, and maybe let's just do another one here. So I can tap it and you can use it kind of like a stamp. But the one great thing about this is then I could turn around and use it as a stencil. So, or a mask. So what I do is I take that layer that I just stamped right there, and then I select that layer. And you're probably gonna have to come back and rewatch this a few times if you've never done this technique before. This is a little preview of one of the techniques that I teach inside my Digital Canvas 3 course. And so you click. Let me start again. You click that layer. You're gonna select that layer, and then you're gonna come down here, and you're going to invert that layer. So you're gonna click out to get rid of that menu, click invert down here at the bottom. And then now you can see, well, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but if you look really close, there's like a bunch of striped lines that are on there. And you probably can't see it, but you'll understand in a minute. And now it's selected. And so now I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to choose a different color. And then I'm going to grab my Nico roll brush. So I can do that a couple of ways. I have a quick menu set up. Because I use that Nico roll brush so much, I set my quick menu to actually have that brush in it. So this is another feature where you can choose the gestures that happen on your canvas. So I have it from, if I touch this little square in the middle, my quick menu comes up, and then I have the Nico roll brush there. But you can also choose that Nico roll brush under the painting section. So you can see it's chosen there. I've got my color. Let's just do a little bit, maybe brighter, so you can see that. And then I'm going to take that brush and basically use it like a roller. So now I'm just going to grab that, maybe I could change my color a little bit more. And then I'm going to move this over here and do the same thing. So you can see it really looks like a paintbrush. Maybe add a little bit of another color. And then now, when I hide this layer, so right now I have both the stamp layer and the stencil layer highlighted. If I close that stamp layer, there's my little stencils, or my little mask. So this is the reverse of that stamp layer. So I used my stamps as kind of my mask for the next layer. And so you can do a lot of fun things. I could duplicate this layer. So if I slide it to the left, you can duplicate it. And let me just see if I turned off my timer. I think I forgot. So that's still at 10, we're at 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So I could duplicate that layer, you see there, and then I can move it. So if I want to move it, I'm going to use that little arrow at the top, and then I can move it around and create a whole nother layer of the stencil dahlias there. So let me just show you really quick. I'm going to just make it smaller so I can see the whole canvas. I'm going to move that again, click the move layer, and then I can kind of move these around. I could flip them if I wanted to. Like so. So just kind of making like a free-form pattern. I can move it, and what happens is it'll actually cut that off, so you lose whatever's outside of the canvas, which is fine because I can always duplicate it again. And so I can keep it like that. I could also, with that layer, if I wanted to blend it a little bit more, I could play with the layer blends, and I could click on multiply, and you can see now it kind of put everything on one layer, and I kind of like that, so I might do that. And then I can duplicate this layer again and then move it around, hit that arrow and move it around. And then I can then multiply that layer again, unclick it, that one looks kind of funky. Let's just move it again. I undid it. Two finger tap is undo, and then now I want it to be there. That's a little bit better. I could make this larger too, just so if I don't want them all to be the same size, I could do that. I'm gonna undo that just by stretching that corner, and then I'm gonna drop it there, and then I'll hit multiply again just so that it kind of blends all together. So you can start to see, you can make some fun backgrounds with these, and then I can move that around too if I think that, oh, that's not really looking that great there. I can move it. One of the things too, so you see how this covers your whole canvas? If you want to clear all of this Procreate stuff while you're working, you can hit 4-finger tap, and then you can see your whole canvas. So I just wanted to see what this would look like if I moved it off to different spots on here. Just make sure it's at the end. Okay, so let me duplicate this a couple more times so I can just fill in the rest of that paper, and then I'll answer some questions. So hopefully, let's duplicate this layer here. You all are picking up some fun techniques that you can play with. Oops, what did I just do? Oh, I have both of them selected. And then I'm just gonna move that. And we'll do one more. Duplicate that, and then bring it down here at the bottom. Oops. And bring it just a little bit lower. Okay. So there's still some things that I would change on here, like this. I'm not really liking how that is like overlaid on there, so I might just take that and move it a little bit more so that it's not such a dark blend. And so as you play with the patterns on here, it gets a little bit easier, and you can go in and actually, like if I wanted to take the Nico Rule brush and use it as an eraser just to erase some of the harsh edges there, I could do that. So I just chose my Nico Rule, and I think I'm on this, yeah, I'm on this right layer. Yeah. So you can see it, I just erase some of that layer, and now it blends a little bit more. Same with that one up there. Let's find that layer. So on I have a 1-finger tap that will bring up the layer. That's how I set my gesture control. So see, it shows me which layer's there. And then I can take my Nico Roll brush again and erase. Just so the lines aren't so harsh. But you can see I made that fun little collage. I might probably put another flower up there just so that it is nice and full. Let's just do that really quick. Oh, it's not showing. Let's grab that one, and oh, we can put this, we'll do this one of the stamp layers on top of there. That's kind of fun. Oops. Just to fill in that space, and then I'll do one more. Duplicate that layer, and then oops, open, has to make sure it's on, and select it, and then I can move it. And there, that's a little bit better. So it still needs a little bit of tweaking, I think, but you get the idea. And then what I would do is I would save this, and then I can share it, and then save it as, these are all your options. I usually save it as a PNG file. And let's see how long that, I think I don't know if I stopped the timer. I was gonna see. Oh yeah, I did. And then I hit save image. Okay. And then now it will be in my photos area. and I can send that straight to my printer, and I've got a fun collage sheet. So that was using my Neon Dahlia brush that's part of that new Digital Canvas 3 set. So let me get to some questions because I just noticed the time. I tend to always create new things as I'm teaching. So sometimes I'm trying to keep these under an hour, but sometimes I talk a little bit much, and then I get so excited I share more things than I scheduled to. So let me go back to the questions. I'm going to switch my camera really quick and chat with you all. Okay, let's see. Let me go back to the questions and answer some of them. So Scrap Pack maybe asked, I'm a real newbie. I don't know what Procreate is and what can it be used for besides making your own paper. So I showed a couple of things. You can use it to make a bunch of digital files. If you do any kind of planning digitally, a lot of these, like this paper I just designed, you could take it into your digital planner and use it in there. You can make collage papers, you can make fabric, you can, like I said, you can design physical products like stamps and stencils. You can also use it to create actual journal pages if you love to paint and do digital journaling. So there's so much you can do. And actually in Procreate too, there's a whole text feature. You can put lettering. So if you want to write a book, you can actually write a book. I'm working on my next book, and a lot of the pages are being created in Procreate. You can actually drag photos in there, so you can do some photo journaling if you want to. I love using it to create color palettes. I actually probably should have kept my camera down, but I'll bring one up. So one of the things that is great is that there's so many different ways you can make color palettes, but inside Procreate, I'll use it to create palettes, and I'm just going to bring one of mine up really quick so you can see it. Let me make sure I can find it. Here it is. So you can actually import. Oh, you can see my ring light. You can import photos, and then with the photos, you can then choose your color palettes, and that's an exercise that I teach inside my class also. It's a really fun and easy way to grab color palettes from your actual artwork or your photos. So those are some of the things you can do. I mean, there's so much more. Procreate 5 is coming out. It's an upgrade that's coming out, they say, before the holidays. So they've redone the brush engine. There is CMYK color mode now. There are some other new animation type things. Oh, another thing you can do actually that in Procreate is create graphics for your blog, your website, Instagram. You can make little overlays. You could create Instagram stories inside your templates. I'm talking about templates for your Instagram stories inside Procreate. So those are some of the fun lessons. I'm going to be doing a boot camp as part of the next session of Digital Canvas 3. So I'll be sharing more about that, but it will open up for registration for the fall today. And then I'll be sharing more in an email, some of the things. And also next week, I'm going to do another live session that kind of shares more about the program and all the fun things that are included in it. Okay, let's see. Christine asked, I'm registered for this mini class. I'm trying to learn Procreate and love using the brush set. I brought from you. Thank you. She said, it says the class will be available after the live feed, but for how long? So this live stream, for now, it'll be up at least for probably the next month or so. But when I do start my new live stream show, those will be up in my Crowdcast and up on YouTube eventually. So that new live stream show will have, you know, where you can refer back to. But this will definitely be up for at least the next month, where you can come back and rewatch the videos. And some of them I'm actually going to take out segments and create some videos that share just like a minute or two, so that you don't have to go back into it. So if you bought my brushes, there's a whole set of videos that are going to come with it. And you'll get to see some of the techniques and tutorials with that. Okay. Let's see. Cheryl says, I know this has been asked before, so I apologize, but what kind of printer do you have? No, that's great, Cheryl. I figured somebody would ask. So let me tell you the model. And actually, I just saw it. If you have a Costco near you, or if you're a Costco member, I saw it on sale recently there. And also, I actually got this one at Best Buy. It's the electronics store here in the United States. Let me open up a file and just send to printer so that I can tell you the model number. It is an HP Color Laser Jet, M as in Mary, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, M as in Mary, 281 FDW. That's what it's called on the printer here. So it's a really great printer, especially for stuff like this. If you want to print collage sheets, and the color is spot on to everything that I've created on my iPad. And even when I scan in my work, it's an all-in-one, so you can scan in your paintings also. So hopefully that helps. Amy asked the same question. Yeah, most of you asked that. So I also love HP inkjet printers. Those by far I had one HP inkjet printer for like almost 10 years before I switched to a different one. And those have always been really great. I had an Epson here in the studio for a couple of years, and it lasted less than a year and a half, and I had to return it. So, and that was another one of the all-in-ones. It printed okay, but some of the things that I didn't like with the one Epson that I had was you couldn't put it to draft. So it was always using up a lot of extra ink. And then the fact that it just stopped working after a year and a half, that was not a good thing. So, and you know, it just depends. There's people who love Epsons, but for what I use, the HP inkjets that I've had the all-in-one, what is it? It's like their big all-in-one, I don't know if it's the Office Jet. I don't know if it's Office Jet line, but it's, I would say the ones that I've had, in like the $250 to $400 range, those are some of the best ones that I've used. But then I've also had like a little $99, Epson printer that I use to kind of create, to do digital printing on top of like acrylic skins. So I bought something really cheap so that in case it got ruined, it wouldn't be too bad. So with that one, I was able to put in like all kinds of crazy things like acrylic skins and printed on hand-dyed paper towels and things like that. If you've been with me for a long time, my first book, Collage Unleashed, came out in 2006, and there's a whole thing about dyeing paper towels in there. So that's what I'm referring to. But I used to run those through the printer to print on top of them. Okay. Susie says, I would like to know how to access different forms of your new brushes I purchased. Susie, can you elaborate on that question? I would like to access different forms. I'm not sure what you're referring to. So if you could ask again, that would be great. And let's see. Christine asked, how can I take your Procreate workshop? Okay, yes. So I am excited for the fall. There is a self-guided version. The content is already in the classroom, so it's going to open up October 14th, and actually there's a little early bird if you register by the 7th. And I'll put the link here in the class. If you're on my email list, you'll get an email that actually has some more information, but I'm going to be doing 2 live Q&As during one in October, one in November. And then in November, I'm actually going to do a live boot camp that is all about surface pattern design with with Procreate. And I'll be sharing more about that next week too, if you join me for the live that I'm going to do next week. But that is something that's new to the content for the next session. So for those of you who took Digital Canvas 3, if you want to join in that new live session, I'll be sending you a special email that has more information about that and a discount code, since you already took the actual class. But this is a whole new session that I'm going to do in November that is going to be part of the next Digital Canvas 3 session. So I'm excited. There is a lot more changes that are happening also in Procreate with Procreate 5 coming out. So I'm hoping that if it's out by November, then I'll be able to incorporate some of that into my bootcamp. But they don't have a date yet. So if they don't, then I'll definitely be updating Digital Canvas 3 next year, and we'll be diving into some of the new features. But for now, everything that I've taught in Digital Canvas 3 is available for you to work through. And so what I mean by self-guided is that the content is in the classroom, so it's not necessarily live like I taught it the last time, where every week I taught the actual lesson live. So you're going to be able to access each of those lessons, and then we'll have the live sessions where I do the Q&As and that new boot camp. So that I think is you'll be able to get your questions answered there. And then you also get access to the private forum. So that is another place where you can share your work, talk with other students, and also get direct access to me. And that forum is hosted off-site. It's hosted in Mighty Network, so it's not on Facebook. I don't use Facebook for my class groups. I prefer to keep it separate. So it's nice. It's a really tight-knit, small community, and you get to know everybody who's in there. So those are some of the bonuses that come with being part of the class. And then if you register by the 1st, by October 1st, you get access to Digital Canvas 1 and 2, which are my previous classes. Even though they're in older versions of in Procreate, you can still use a lot of the techniques in the newer version. Okay, let's see. And I should have put a link. I'll have to put a link on here. I'll put this link in really quick. That way, in case some of you... Oh, the other bonus is if you register for Digital Canvas 3, you also get the Digital Canvas 3 brushes that I just showed as a bonus. So that is included if you register. And let me answer. Lizzie UK asks, is there an equivalent to Procreate that can be used on a Windows laptop? So Procreate is only on the iOS, so it's only Apple-based products right now. And I don't think they have plans to develop for Windows or Android or anything like that, because every time people ask, they always say no. But you could use Photoshop. In some ways, you can paint with Photoshop brushes. You can, it's a little bit more, I would say, not harder to do. I don't think it's harder to do. It's just there's a different kind of learning curve because you're painting using either a tablet or a mouse. So it's not like when you can draw right on the screen on the iPad. So that's one app I know of that is on a Windows machine. I don't use Windows, so I'm not familiar with that many other drawing kind of or painting apps, but if anybody is, and you want to put in the chat if you use any other painting apps on a Windows machine, that would be great. I know that Adobe is coming out with their new iPad painting app called Fresco. It's supposed to come out sometime this year along with Photoshop on the iPad, like the full version of Photoshop on the iPad. So you definitely can go to Adobe's website and register for notifications for when those come out. But I've seen demos of the new Fresco program, and it looks really interesting. So I'm thinking that I'll probably end up doing some type of tutorial on those also, because so many people use Adobe. Amy asked, how do you print your designs on fabric? And so I have printed on Spoonflower. I'm testing out another service too called Contrato, just to see the difference. And I've also used my inkjet printer to print on fabric. So you can buy fabric printed sheets or fabric, I guess they're fabric inkjet sheets. And actually I have some. Maybe on my next live, I'll bring them out because I'm actually going to talk about fabric in the next one. You can use those to print and run right through your inkjet printer, and they work awesome. I have a bunch of samples that I've done too. You can find those, on Amazon or at the craft store, or even sometimes you can find them at the office supply store. Oh, thanks, Jennifer. She said Fresco was released a day or two ago. Oh, nice. I was waiting. I signed up for it a long time ago, and maybe I just missed the email. Thanks, Sherry. Sherry said that it was released this week. Did anybody play with it yet? Amy says, can you paste a group set of layers into a new canvas? So you can, what I do is usually drag them into a new canvas instead of cut and paste. So a lot of times what happens, if you cut and paste, it'll put everything on one layer. So it's just better to take your group layers, and then you just take the set of layers and you drag it to the top where you would exit out of the current canvas, and then you would open up your new canvas while you're so you need to use 2 fingers, and then you would hold that and then drop it into your new canvas. So that's like the easiest way to create or to add your group of layers to a new canvas. Let's see. Elaine says, can you give us a clue about your new book? Yes, it's about color. That's about all I'll say. I'm actually been working on it behind the scenes for the last couple of months, just brainstorming. I've done a lot of brainstorming. I haven't, and then some playing around on the computer, but the whole premise of it is about color. So I'm excited. Cheryl says, would you mind reprinting the printer number? I have my pen ready. You're so funny, Cheryl. I love it. Okay, yes, I can tell you it one more time. Let's say print. And for those of you who are still with me, thank you. If you have to go, you can always watch the replay. I should be done hopefully in about 5 minutes. Let's see, printer, HP Color Laser Jet. And I'll put it in the chat after too. MFP, that's Mary Frank Paul, Mary, so MFP, and then M281FDW. And then okay, great. Susie said, today's video answered my questions. Barbara says, are your classes downloadable? No, they are not. None of my classes that I teach are downloadable, but once you log in, you have 24/7 access. The only things that are downloadable are the PDFs. So in most of my classes, there are a set of PDFs. So in Digital Canvas, each lesson actually has a set of PDFs, and my PDFs are a mixture of collage sheets, journal pages sometimes there's color palettes, sometimes there's prompts, but they don't mimic the exact lesson. They kind of supplement the lesson. So it gives you just some other fun things to think about. But And then in some of my older classes, I did do some step-by-step stuff, but for the most part, they're more like playbooks or workbooks where you can download and import either into your actual iPad and draw on them in your iPad, or you can print them and cut them apart or put them in a binder. So those are the only things that are downloadable in my classes. So I think I got everybody's questions. Oh wait, Susie says, what will the cost for Digital Canvas 3 be when will it open? So I will show you right now. Let me just share my screen with you really quick. Oh, that's what I was gonna do too. Hold on. Let me just drop the link in here. Here is the link. So my class is, so the class is $297 until October 7th, and then the price goes up to regular price, which is $397 after that. And it is a very full and intense, not intense, but I mean it's a very immersive as far as you learn from the beginning all the way to the very basics of creating a canvas. You learn how to make brushes. You learn about adding this into your workflow. So digital workflow using, I do actually some lessons that are with painting, like actual traditional painting with the jelly plate, and we use that to create backgrounds that are, so it's kind of a mixed media / digital course. So I touch a little bit about actually taking your mixed media paintings or your watercolor paintings and then taking those and creating brushes out of them, creating textures out of them. So you learn, there's a whole lesson on brushes. There are lots of creative jump starts. There are journal reflections in there. It was originally a weekly lesson class, but you can either work at your own pace if you want to work on multiple lessons at once, and go at that flow, or you could work on one lesson a week and then move to your next lesson. And then you'll learn about digital collage, you'll learn about color palettes, you'll learn about creating your own digital stamps and stencils, but also using, sets that you already create. And then you get the additional live sessions and the boot camp. The boot camp itself will sell by itself for $97 early bird. So you're getting that included in your price if you register for the digital program, our digital canvas program now. There is an option to pay in 3 monthly payments, but right now what I put up on here is the one that's the full payment. So hopefully that answers your questions. There is not another class on the market that is like mine for sure, because it mixes mixed media with Procreate and then also with surface pattern design. And you can see from the comments, there are a few people who've taken it, and there has been some amazing work. If you search the hashtag, I'll write it in here, Digital Canvas 3 on Instagram, you'll see a lot of beautiful artwork from your from the students in the class. Susie said, maybe you get, yes, and she asked if we take the class, maybe we get credit for purchasing the brush set. Yes, you will, for sure. So just let me know, and then I can refund you that if you decide to just put it in the notes of your order. Okay, let's see. I think that was all the questions. Let me just double check. I think so. And I will be sharing. Yeah, Elaine said fabulous class. I think she's referring to Digital Canvas 3. Okay. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining me. We'll have another live session. I'm going to I'll send an email and post it on Instagram. I am thinking it'll probably be either Thursday or Friday next week. I have to look at my schedule. I'm going to a show in San Francisco for surface pattern design this week coming up called Blueprint. So I just have to look at the dates. And next week we'll talk a little bit more, but I did show you one little sneak peek. I have a few new fabrics I said I would show you that I've been working on, and they were created in both Procreate, and actually this one was created in Adobe Textile Designer, the new plugin for Photoshop. And I loved how it turned out. I did it in a couple of different colorways and on a couple of different fabrics, so you can see kind of the difference. So this is the same pattern but just different colors and different fabric. So far, my favorite fabric that I like the cotton. If you're a quilter, the cotton poplin, no, the organic cotton from Spoonflower. I actually liked how that turned out. This one was another one of my favorites. So I think I showed you that as a printed piece, or maybe I just showed you the digital piece of it. But the color turned out pretty good. I'm really excited about it. So we'll talk a little bit more about fabric next week, and just the possibilities of what you can do with Procreate, and how you can use it to design things like fabric. So I thought I'd share some of these with you. For those of you who getting my anniversary collection for my new paints and inks, you'll get a little sampling of some of the fabrics. So I just ordered a bunch of different designs that I had created, and they're so much fun to see on the different fabrics. So I'm really excited to share more. Next year I'm going to be doing a quarterly collection that will be available in my shop. So thank you, everybody. It was so fun to have you. And if you didn't get a chance to answer the polls, please do. I'll be sharing more about Digital Canvas in the next week if you're on my email list. So if you're not, you can always sign up for that. And the digital brushes also, I'll put a link in the chat for where you can find the Digital Canvas 3 brushes. I have a few different licenses. So with my brushes, for personal use, you can use it for any project that's personal, as long as you're not selling the project, but selling the actual end product. But if you do want to use my brushes for your own pattern work, then there is a commercial and an extended commercial license there. So those of you who are doing service pattern work, you're probably familiar with some of those terms. So thank you, everybody. It was great to have you online, and thanks again for being here. Have a great weekend. Take care. Bye.